Welcome back to the American Dream. This is Terry Roche, your co-host. I am joined today by Josh Burruss. Josh is the Executive Vice President of the largest mortgage company in the Mid-Atlantic states, Intercoastal Mortgage. Josh, welcome. Thank you very much for taking the time out today.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so Josh, I really wanted to bring you on. I mean, since your company not only is so large, but you're one of the largest companies out there, and you're seeing thousands of transactions. And the biggest issue in the real estate market right now is there's not enough inventory. So how can somebody get a house bought without competing with 7 or 10 or 12 or 15 other buyers? And what are some of the tips that they can use? And most people don't realize who the most important person is in this transaction. And I want to reveal that so that buyers can go out there, realtors can go out there with confidence, understanding exactly how this really happens and how, like, in real estate, I've been in real estate 32 years. I have a very high percentage of getting my contracts accepted when I'm going there with buyers. But I've got a lot of experience. I know the insider tips. Most people don't. So I want to reveal all that here on this public forum for a lot of buyers to understand, because a lot of buyers aren't working with me. They're working with their friends. They're working with a realtor that's new or something like that. So they need these tactics, these strategies, and they may not even be working with someone like you who does the volume of business you do. So let's get into it. Let's reveal some of these insider secrets.
Absolutely. And I think it's a great point. Right now, inventory is at all-time low levels and buyer interest is incredibly high. So the landscape for being a home buyer is so incredibly competitive right now. And first and foremost, the number one thing that I can urge buyers to do is get started with a lender right away. So many people jump online and, hey, they really get blinded by looking at houses and falling in love with a particular price point before they've ever talked to a mortgage lender. And quite oftentimes that can be eye-opening in both directions. Sometimes you qualify for a whole lot more than what you may think. And sometimes there's some things that you need to work on before you're really ready to get out there on the street and try to make a competitive offer. So most really intelligent and talented real estate agents will immediately direct you to one of their preferred lenders who has a really solid reputation and who they can rely on. Because the second part of the process is once you get pre-qualified and you go through the process with a lender and you've been advised on what the best products and rates are for you, then from there you have to make an offer to a seller. That seller's agent, the person selling the home for those sellers, is going to immediately look at who you're looking with for financing. If you're working with a larger institution that has a reputation for not delivering versus someone getting an offer letter from one of a strong local lender's contacts, that plays a big difference. And Terry, I know that you do a ton of listings and you sell a ton of homes. So maybe you can give a little insight as to what it's like on your end when you are looking at a multitude of offers, because we're seeing instances, we're seeing 26, 27 offers on a single house.
And people read about that and they hear about that and they don't realize it's, first of all, it's not in every price range and it's not in every area. It's in the hotter areas. There are houses that have one offer, but you don't necessarily know. You might be in the same price range and be in another area. It's going to have 15 offers or 10 offers. So you need to be prepared. But I tell buyers the following. If I'm acting as a buyer broker in this particular case with the buyer, the most important thing, the most important person, the most important aspect of getting this offer through is the fact that you realize you're not buying the house. The lender's buying the house. I don't care if you're putting 5% down or if you're putting 40% down. The lender's putting up the rest of the money. The lender is requiring an appraisal to be done, an appraisal with an inspection. Now you have to qualify for the financing. Guess who else knows that? The listing agent. The listing agent then is going to tell the seller, hey, I don't care what this person's offering you. I care what the lender is willing to do. If the lender is reputable and the lender is willing to step up and lend this money, well, then the lender is going to have an appraiser who's going to say it's worth it or it's not worth it. So it doesn't matter what you say. What it matters is what the lender says. And once you understand that, you understand the gravity of what I'm about to say. You can't just go right off with a pre-qualification letter saying, hey, I talked to a lender, my credit's okay. No. In this market, you've got to go through a lender You've got to go through a good mortgage banker as opposed to what I would call just a mortgage broker who's got their own money, access to other people's money, access to large volumes of different types of loan products. And you've got to be approved. You've got to have that lender who's already got a system to put you through the entire pre-approval process, not the pre-qualification. The lenders put you in front of an underwriter already and says, hey, Joe and Mary Smith are good to go. Then I, as a buyer broker, can go to listing agent and say, hey, this is as close as you're going to get to a cash offer. It doesn't get any closer than that. That's
exactly right. We coach our clients all the time during that initial phase of pre-qualification. A lot of lenders will just take an online application and then just say, go look for some houses and come back to me when you found one.
Yep.
A true mortgage banker is going to go ahead and ask for all of your documentation up front, because it's my job to vet out our clients and get them completely prepared so that when they make an offer, we can close quickly, we have as minimal contingencies as possible, and that they come in with the strongest offer. In fact, we even take it another step further and make a proactive call to the listing agent to gloat about how incredible our client is before they ever review offers with their sellers.
You know, let me just point something out there. That's critical. Now, let me switch hats. Okay, let me put on the hat of being a listing agent and not being a buyer's agent. Now, as a listing agent, I'm representing a seller. And just imagine, okay, you're the buyer, plenty of other buyers I have to choose from. How can you stand out ahead? You hear all these things out there. Some of them are maybe even a little silly. Some of them aren't silly. You'll hear things about write a letter to the seller about how much you love the home. And how you can see your family being raised there and all these wonderful things. Try to tie into the seller's emotions so they pick you. Guess what? You're not the only one doing that. So it's all been diluted and watered down. It comes down to the fact that the seller wants to know in 45 days, when the moving truck pulls up to my house, are you going to be at the settlement table with the lender and all the money you said you'd be there with, or are we going to be delayed? Or are we going to have some other issues? Or are we going to have it kicked out? Because that happens on 20% of the transactions out there. Now, a good listing agent, let's say myself, I'm going to have contracts coming in. If you call me or some other lender calls me, which by the way, lenders out there, listen up. I get this call maybe 1 out of 30 transactions. Pathetic. Somebody calls me up and says, hey, we've already vetted these people. We've approved these people. They're good to go. That's awesome. First, it saves me time, and then I can ask all my questions and do all my due diligence right then and there. Then I can turn to my seller and say, guess what? These people aren't only trying to buy the house, they're proactively getting things done the way they should be done so that you can have the comfort of taking your house off the market while they get their loan completed, and then we get the settlement. I mean, let's face it, Josh, you and I both know this entire mortgage process is backwards.
Oh, absolutely.
They write a contract, they go get a loan, and then and supposed to take their house off the market while we get a loan, and they wait hoping. I mean, so we've got to remove all that uncertainty.
Sure.
So you're right. I love that aspect. I know you guys do it on every transaction.
Absolutely. And, you know, furthermore, as a local mortgage originator, not only do we have name reputation with the sellers and the listing agents that they recognize our company, but also we have local decision-making authority. All the internal processes happen right here. We're not a company that outsources our processing over to India or underwrites out in California. We keep it all centralized right here in this local area because I need to have my thumb on the pulse of the client, and I need to have my thumb on the pulse of this market. And because we're local and we have scale, we have access to loan products that a lot of national lenders can't get a hold of because they only offer their bank's products. So it's, as an originator, it's the best of all worlds. We have speed, we have product diversity, and we have great interest rates. So it really helps our clientele to not only secure a house and a contract, but also secure a great interest rate and have a true education as they're going through the process. Because the reality is most people will only do this 1 to 3 times in their whole life.
Right. Well, here's something that I want people to understand, because I can get the sense right now, if I was totally alien to this process, I'd be listening to these two guys talk on this TV show about, oh, here's the best way to get the best product and have the Rolls Royce of service and all these other things. And boy, that's going to cost money. I'm trying to save. So maybe I'll look for something cheaper, because we're always conditioned to say, look, you get what you pay for. And in many cases you do. But in your industry, it's different. In your industry, you guys are competing on loan, and your value add is better rate, better service, local. So you're actually, well, actually explain. I mean, pretend I'm somebody going to Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Navy Federal Credit Union, the big boys out there that are national. I mean, you guys are huge locally. And that's what most realtors want, by the way, because they want someone who's, just so you guys out there know, we as listing agents, we want contract offers coming in with mortgage companies who are local. Because if that local lender messes up, we know that local lender just lost business for 20, 30, 40 transactions. If a national Quicken Loans or Bank of America, Wells Fargo comes in, they mess up, so what? They just messed that one customer up. So I want people to understand that. How is it, or do you guys compete well with these big national lenders where people have already got accounts, they've already got relationships? Why would they need or want, besides what we're saying, to come to you on rate?
Absolutely. The easiest way to think about it is all we do is mortgages. That's our entire bread and butter of our business. Right. All of our staff are referral based only, meaning that if we can't go out and develop a strong reputation for pulling through and to have the most competitive rates on the market, no one is going to refer us business in perpetuity. It's not like we're a Wells Fargo where there's 1,000 banking clients and we're just going down a Rolodex of people who are already banking customers there. And we're not an institution that is a giant bank that just looks at mortgages as an afterthought. It's all we focus on. So it gives us an unfair advantage when competing, because not only do we have the ability to go out and source product from many investors like a Wells Fargo or like a Bank of America, we also, it's our sole focus. And the technologies that we get to employ are so much greater because mortgages are sole focus. We don't have to go through all the banking red tape as a large institution might. So not only are we allowing a greater degree of product, a strong set of rates, but we also can implement technology that makes the process much easier for our clientele in terms of gathering documentation and getting them through the process significantly faster.
Well, it's always amazed me when dealing with, look, I'm just going to put it out there, okay? You guys are commissioned.
Yep.
Some national internet lenders, national big lenders, and it's always frustrated me as a listing agent or a buyer agent representing my clients. They're 9 to 5, can't get a hold of them during normal real estate hours, because and I know real estate's in the evening and the weekends. Some things are critical. We need an answer to get something done. They're salaried, so they don't care. I mean, they care, but it's not going to make a difference in their income if the loan goes through or doesn't go through. Okay, and they're not on repeat referral business. They've got this stable of business, like you said. You guys are aligned with us, are aligned with the consumer, and aligned with the seller that the loan has to go through because you don't get paid. And I like that. I mean, that's important. I think most people miss that. They don't get it. And if you can get all of that on your side and get it at the same rate, or I frankly know from working with your company in the past, you guys get better rates than some of the larger ones. I don't know if you want to disclose how you're able to do that or not, but I know you're instrumental in actually getting rates and beating these people. Maybe you want to go into that a little bit.
Sure. So the reality is just like you said, we're all on a commission-based business. It's not like a weatherman where you just take your best shot and you hope you're right. Our entire reputation is staked on our ability to get a client from beginning all the way through closing. Because we are independent, I have the ability to go out and search the street for the best set of investors with the best pricing at any time. I'm not confounded by products that only my bank offers. So it gives me a tremendous advantage in going out and finding product for our staff to go out and offer to customers. You
can literally go to any source, Wall Street, pension funds, Bank of America, they'll sell to you, all kinds of stuff. Whereas these other ones are restricted to that. You literally have thousands of sources you can use, and they are restricted. That's what I wanted to hear you tell them.
Yeah, and that's what gives us the autonomy to find product whenever there is need.
Yeah.
So a lot of these institutions have a ton of red tape, and there's, I don't want to discredit everybody, right? There's a lot of great lenders at a lot of large banking institutions, but for the most part, if you're developing a relationship with an independent mortgage lender that is working for a correspondent, those guys only make money on closed loans, and it's all they focus on. So they have a much higher degree of seriousness with the way that they approach their business, because if they don't close any loans and if they don't have happy customers, their families don't eat.
That ain't right. Exactly. So we're running short on time, but I want to close this out by saying, number one, a large mortgage banker, a large regional mortgage banker, the largest preferably, because obviously they've got the greatest distribution channels. They've got the greatest amount of money coming in, so they can in bulk give you the best deal. In addition to all of that, they're more aligned with you because they're commissioned and they don't eat, for lack of a better term, if you don't get the loan, but they're motivated, whereas the other ones aren't. And the listing agents and the people who you're trying to get your offer through with know that. And they know, this is coming in from a very large regional lender. We know how they work. We know if they don't get this loan done, that's political suicide. So they have to get this done. They would have not just thrown some spaghetti against the wall to hope it sticks. So Josh, thank you for revealing a lot of that information. I know a lot of people never understood that. That's insider tips that most people don't want to talk about. So I really appreciate your letting us know.
Well, thank you for having me on.
All right. This has been Terry Roche with the American Dream. I hope you've learned something, and I hope you're able to apply this to save money on your house in the future.